I'm amazed at how much beauty people miss day to day. For instance, at this wilderness location, I bet people would walk right through where I'm at right now and never notice all these. There's a summertime celebration for you guys, a mountain wildflower bouquet. And just look at those colors. Light purple, violet. I really love these mini mountain daisies. Look at how delicate those are. They're like a light violet. Just gorgeous. That brilliant yellow right there. And I want to say this is baby's breath. I really don't know. My wife knows. Put some of that in there for you. Even some a sprig of pine or hemlock in there to celebrate the high location. About 10,000 feet. And pretty soon, all these will be gone. Snow will be flying again, and we'll be back into the cycle of life, wintertime. So this is for you. From me to you, TNPers. Wish I could preserve that just like this. It's just beautiful. Now, you want to see where I picked them from? Here, just so you don't think I'm making this up. Check this out. That's what I'm talking about. People could walk right through this field, not notice anything, until they start looking. That's where I got the purple. Going through here. Oh, there's some yellow. Light violet. Look at over here. There's another violet one here. No, I'm not making this up. I love this stuff. Love it, love it, love it. My mom taught me to be sensitive to all this stuff, and I'm glad she did. Grandma Nutnfancy. Look at all this. And that's how I got here, by the way. Mr. KTM 690 Enduro. There's an ATV trail, I don't know, about half mile that way. You'll hear some vehicles coming up and down it. I would have gotten more remote, but I really like this overlook where I took you guys. So, tons of mountain flowers, beautiful location. I'll be staying here overnight, by the way. Bugging out tomorrow. This is Wyoming, in case you're wondering. Look at that mountain peak over there. Oh, truly epic. Now, I have multiple purposes when I come out to a location like this. Yes, I'm gear testing, but I actually chose this particular location for something new here in TNP. And that is to answer a TNPer's question. And I've thought a lot about this. I've read it about 5 times. And you may find some answers in our discussion here, and also people's comments below, their experiences. And this guy's name is Gear Chatham. He lives in Central Alabama. He just graduated high school. Here's his letter, by the way. He goes by the handle of 6 Geares, G-E-R-E-S. And he writes, first off, big fan, not only of your videos, but awesome family. And you were clearly raised similar to how I have been, right? Your how to really get a job video was an eye-opener on what kind of person you are. I agree with you 100% of the things you said. I think I even have the top comment on that video. Cool. But my question for you is this. I need some advice with my career choice. My goal is to become a nurse and possibly a CRNA, Certified Registered Nurse Anesthesia. But for many years now, I've wanted to join the military. But the more I think about it, the more I don't want to, as if I'm worrying so much that I'm scaring myself, but I don't know of what. Nice sentence. My interest for a long time was that I wanted to be a sniper in the Special Forces, but now I no longer take as much interest. That's an interesting subject. I will address that. Now, if I do decide on the military, I want to join the Air Force and potentially fly. However, I don't know if that's even possible because I do not have 20/20 vision. Other than that, I have no health issues. Even if I don't have the chance to fly, I still have the will in the back of my head that I've got to join because I don't want my dad to have to pay for college, even though he may have the money. And also, I feel like it's something I need to do. So many flies around here. Welcome to 10,000 feet elevation in these mountains. If you can give a few words of advice on how I should approach this, it'd be greatly appreciative. This is my first message on YouTube. I really don't know how to check my messages, I don't either. And so email will probably work. You know what, I'll just phone call you, dude, and tell you this video is posted. And hopefully you're watching the channel and you just know. Oh, and he writes at the end, oh, and you may take interest in this. I bought a 1978 Trans Am like Smokey and the Bandit. Its numbers are matching and is disassembled for restoration, which will take place over the course of a few years. Ha ha. That's cool. Restored. Dude, Smokey and the Bandit, 78 Trans Am, TA. Yeah, I'm down. That would be extremely cool. How many do you see running around? But back to your question. You bring up several issues. Number one is you bring up the fact that you come from a good family. So I appreciate you coming for me for advice. I think that's cool. I'll give you what I can and the viewers that happen to watch this video. But also go to your dad. It sounds like your dad and maybe your mom, good family, ask his advice of what he thinks you should do and listen to him. Oftentimes we have really good parents. We have other adults in our lives, maybe grandparents, other relatives, even trusted friends that can give us really good advice, but sometimes we don't take it because they're familiar to us. You know what I'm saying? So look to see what you have at your own resource and bounce ideas off of them, because I'm going to give you some answers here and you may have more questions. Go to these folks and bounce it off of them. You bring up joining, or first off, becoming a nurse, and you throw in being a military sniper in there and also a U.S. Air Force pilot. That's a broad stroke of different career options. Now, I did say in that jobs video how to really get a job video and also live to impress yourself. A lot of the concepts I'll bring up now. Where do you want to be? If you close your eyes and you imagine yourself do it 5 years from now and then 10 years from now, where do you see yourself? And just pretend like the sky's the limit. There are no limitations. And if you're watching this video, you're not geared, and it doesn't really matter if your economic background or your race or your sex. You may be male, female, you may be black, you might be white, may be Latino, Caucasian, doesn't matter. Let's put all that aside, and I want you to ask yourself, where do you want to be? Now, sometimes it's hard for people to break out of their mold, out of their upbringing and what they've been told their whole lives, and they feel like they're failures and they can never achieve anything. And that whole video about live to impress yourself was trying to have you guys believe in yourselves if you're in that situation in life, and believe that you can achieve, that really there's nothing standing in your way except you and your own work ethic. You can achieve whatever you want. There will be a price tag associated with any career choice you take, and I'm going to try to hit on those with those specific examples. And you need to go in with your eyes opened. But if you're willing to pay that price, you're willing to overcome the obstacles, you're willing to put off the naysayers, you can achieve it. You know, let's say the RN, for instance. I think that's an outstanding career choice. First off, it serves society. And I like career choices that serve society. That you are doing something that is helpful to other people. I like that. I respect it. And you can do that and still make a good living. That it's a service that is so helpful. When my son, last suspect, crashed in the canyon on his motorcycle, within 5 minutes, we had a registered nurse by our side. We had that female ER doc, and we had an EMT right there. And those are career choices those people chose, and now just because they happen to be in the right place at the right time, they're helping out. And that harkens back to my other video way back when of a story of first aid. That, you know, you may be the only one around, help people. I think an RN is a great job. You know, hey, but I'm a dude, I can't be an RN if I'm a dude. Nonsense. There's lots of great male nurses. In fact, last suspect, while he was healing in the hospital, had some awesome nurses, male nurses that were great dudes. We really enjoyed talking with them, joking around with them, and they are very caring. So again, put all that aside, the preconceptions of what, you know, male, female, that's a male job, female job. You know, today's age, it doesn't matter. What matters is, are you ready to pay the price to get there? So on this RN choice, why did you give that up? If you liked being an RN, be an RN. Go to school. Okay, and I'm going to go to the military option for you to become an RN here in a second. But does that give you joy? Do you like it? Does it, you know, seem appealing to you in that 5-10 year plan? I like that choice for you myself. Okay, so different ways you can become an RN. Not that I'm the expert, but we do have them in the family. Mrs. Nutnfancy's sister, RN. So we've seen the career path. It's not easy, but nothing worthwhile is easy to get. Anything that pays well, that's a skill set that society's willing to pay a certain amount of money for, like a white-collar job, you're going to have to qualify yourself. It's going to be education. You're going to have to pay for college, probably a technical school of some sort. There's money out there. There's ways to get loans if you don't have the money. Now, let's say you're going to do that in a civilian sense. I want to be an RN. I don't want to join the military to become an RN. Do it. Get your school loans if you want, but really sit down with a pen and paper and figure out where your money situation is. How much am I going to spend for school? How much am I going to get in debt? When's my payoff point with the money I anticipate making at this job? Make sense? A lot of people don't do that. They'll get really heavy into debt and they don't think about it. And then when they do get that job, lo and behold, it doesn't pay that much and they're in debt forever. A lot of professions like doctors, lawyers, a number of professional pursuits are going to require you to get a lot of education, and you're going to have to get in debt if you go the civilian route. Or you could talk to your parents. Say, hey, this is what I want to do. Can I borrow money from you? Can I get a loan payoff? Maybe they're willing to help out. Most parents, if they know their children, boy, girl, is motivated and they want to make something out of themselves in life, they're pursuing it with zest. They're setting goals and they're reaching goals, are going to help pay for them. I do it with my kids. I'm helping my oldest son, Tactical Doodle, through college. That's because I feel as a parent, I want to help him on his way. He's got to put the work in. He's got to go get the grades. He's got to do all the studying. That's your part. Now, you can become an RN through the military, and that is a career choice in the military. But let's broad stroke this military choice. And I get this and have got it several times in the last few years. Hey, Nutnfancy, should I join the military? My answer is a qualified, this may surprise you, no. A qualified no. There's a lot of reasons for this. Well, number one, when you sign on to the military, you give up your freedom. They're going to put you where they want to put you. You're going to live where you want to live. It may not be a place like this. I was in North Dakota with my family, and it was windswept, mosquitoes everywhere, and it sucked. I hated North Dakota, but I was able to fly T-38s up there in the Air Force, so that was cool. That's why I took it. You know, I had upsides. Flying the Talon, plane my dad named, awesome, I loved it. But you may not live in a place you want to, an adventure place. That's a downside. You give up your freedom. You go where they want you to go. You deploy when they want you to deploy. The phone rings in the middle of the night, you pack your bags and you go. Perhaps even as an RN, because you may be attached to a military unit of some sort. Could be a flying unit, could be a deploying unit. You are their RN, or if you want to be a doctor, you are their flight surgeon. And when that unit goes, you go. If they're in theater for 6 months, you're in theater for 6 months. You might have a rotation if you have some depth in your office. In other words, there's other people that have that job and you can swap each other out. That's one reason I'm not so big on the military. Another reason is, and I mentioned this in some other videos, it's really politically correct. It's gotten way out of hand. The dudes in my guard unit, for instance, have told me that if they have a picture of a gun on their screensaver, maybe it's a hunting picture, they are told to take it down, or else. This is what they told me. They get a letter of reprimand for it. For a gun in the military. You got to watch what you say. You can't joke inappropriately. You're stepping on rice paper the whole time. It's gotten really bad. And all the services are this way. The Air Force is this way, the Army's this way, the Navy's this way, the Marines are this way. Ask the guys and gals who are in, and they will tell you, you better watch your six in the military, otherwise your career could be toast. And I don't like that. I don't miss it at all. I retired a few years back, and I don't look back and go, oh, I sure wish I was in the military. That part, I don't miss at all. Another thing, downside of the military, is you fight wars. And you may not agree with the war or the action you're called upon to participate in. Raise your hand if you've fallen into this category. Yeah, I have. There's several, actions that I participated in that I supported as a pilot in the Air Force that I was not digging. We went to Iraq in 2003 and we overthrew Saddam. I wasn't really digging that. I told the guys in my squadron, I was like, this is a mistake. These people are not ready for democracy. We're going to lose a lot of lives over there. It's going to turn into another Vietnam. Ask my squadron mates, and sure enough, that's what's happened. I didn't dig it, but I wore the uniform, I saluted, and I did my duty, as you will have to do if you're in the military. Are you ready for that? Are you ready for that? You also need to ask yourself, are you happy with a commander-in-chief? Right now it's Barack Obama. He dictates what the military does in so many ways. He dictates what your funding is. Are you happy with that? You may not be, but in the military, that's not your option. You just don't selectively say, yeah, I'm not going to do that, unless it's an illegal order, which also could be in your future as a military member. Hey, go do this. Go disarm that population, that civilian population over there. Now, granted, not as a doctor, as an RN, but talking about Air Force pilot, and you mentioned that, you may be asked to do that in the future. We just really don't know how the military is going to be handled, but the indications are not good right now. So I have some trepidation about recommending anybody joining the military, primarily for the first reason, is you lose your freedom. You're better off, I think, pursuing it in a civilian way, this medical career, RN, maintaining your freedom, and then you have options. You can bail out. You're not committed for 10 years. The downside to that, again, you're going to get into more debt. You're going to have to pay your own way. The upside of doing it the military way is they pay all your own schooling, or all your schooling, your medical schooling. And that's pretty cool. So that's a lot of money. You're going to sign on the dotted line. You need to decide and talk about it again with people you trust on your side. How about being a pilot? A lot of what I've just said applies to being a pilot too. There is a price tag associated. It is extremely difficult to be a military pilot. Pilot training is very difficult. The selection process is stringent. You have to get good grades. You have to graduate college. You have to have a GPA that's competitive. It is cyclical. Sometimes they're really short on pilots. Sometimes they have too many. And it really depends on your personal timing. If you come in at a time when they really need pilot candidates, it'll play out to your benefit. You know, I came in when there were a ton of pilot candidates, and it was very, very competitive. Number one, to get a regular commission. Now that means I went in as an officer, that's what you are as a pilot, and as a commission, you're either a reserve commission or you're in a regular commission, which means they cannot lay you off, basically. That you have to get an act of Congress to waylay you. And I just worked my butt off, got a really tight GPA coming out of college. You know, I was drill team commander, Arnold Air Society, all this other extraneous stuff that I did to get my reputation solid within ROTC, and I got a regular commission, but it wasn't for free. I'd much rather, by the way, go through ROTC than a service academy. Don't get me wrong, service academies are great. Annapolis, U.S. Air Force Academy, pretty much all the guys, and some guys are going to watch this, and they're graduates from these sources, but most of the dudes coming out of there are weird. They just are. I've said this in other videos. They're just different. The process changes them. They're very anal retentive. I call them Nazi party officials. Sorry, yeah, NPOs, another TNP term. I'll tell you more about that later. And some are great guys, but they're difficult. And you can get the same thing they get. In this instance, we're talking about a pilot slot to be a pilot in the Air Force by competing through a non-service academy way. So you go through ROTC. But there's probably another 40 guys, girls competing for that same slot. Maybe they give out 3 slots a year. There's 80 people who are striving for it. You're going to have to research it. Research where your ROTC programs are, the schools you'd want to attend. The third way is OTS. So you go in, you can go in as an enlisted member and then compete to become an officer. Now you go to OTS. You still have to get a 4-year college degree. You get OTS. I hope I'm not throwing you guys with all this detail. And then you're commissioned as an officer in whatever field that service wants to choose you. So let's say you're an officer in the Air Force and you're a supply officer. Hey, but I really want to be a pilot. Good luck. Because once you get, for instance, supply stink on you, as it's called, they don't want to get rid of you. They already put money and time and training in you as a supply, and I'm just using that as an example. As a supply officer, they're like, no, that's your job, supply officer. But I want to be a pilot. You're again going to have to put in a package, compete. Good luck. It's very tough. The easiest way, I think, is to either service academy or ROTC appointment. All 3 can do it. As far as being an Air Force pilot, though, again, close your eyes at night. Do you imagine yourself flying jets? Hey, it sounds cool, and that's what you've done. It is cool, mostly cool, but it's also some bad things to it. Again, we'll go back to the military actions you're called to participate in. You may not be digging it. You may be assigned an F-15E Strike Eagle. Drop a napalm on people you don't want to drop napalm on. How's that strike you? Doing gun passes on people you don't want to kill. You know, there's a lot of heavy stuff that goes on with being a military member. If you're a shooter, prepare yourself. You mentioned about being a military sniper. Are you psychologically ready for that? I think a lot of the video games that we have out now portray this, you know, shoot and scoop mentality, that there's no consequences attached to it, that we just go blasting people, blowing their heads off, blood spurting everywhere, ha ha ha, throwing another mag, let's do it all over again. It is far, far from reality. And if you don't believe me, you need to talk to some Iraq and Afghanistan vets, if they will talk to you about their experiences, and you won't like what you hear. Some of them are messed up for life, PTSD, from what they've seen, what they've done, what they've been asked to do, what they had to do. You know, I know this gal, she was in a convoy. Her brother, by the way, was an M1 Abrams tank commander for the Iraqi invasion. He survived. She was a motor T gal in the U.S. Army, and their convoy got hit by RPGs and machine gun fire. And she got some type of medal. I forget which kind. It was probably Medal of Valor. I forget. It wasn't MOH. She pulled a guy out of a burning deuce and a half. Saved his life, but he died. She saw guys get blown up. Her friends tried to return fire, and I tried to talk to her about it. Her name's Stacy, and she can't even talk about it. It's just, you know, the memories are so hurtful. Ask yourself if you're ready for that. You know, you're a military sniper, great. You're covering this lane of fire, you're covering your troops, great. You're going to save lives by pulling that trigger. We understand that. You're going to be saving lives of your troops doing whatever they need to do on their mission, and you're their fire support. That's in your mind. That's what makes a shooting justified. And you'll, of course, abide by your rules of engagement, your ROE that you're in your theater. They'll make that perfectly clear, which, by the way, are insane. You know, in order to even pull the trigger these days, the amount of radio calls has to be made. Hey, you know, is he this? Does he meet this qualification? Does he meet that qualification? Meanwhile, the bad guy shot your friend. I've talked to people that way. The ROE is so suffocating, we can't even do our job out there. That's a whole different issue. But let's say you do have, you know, lane of fire, you're covering it. Now it's time to pull the trigger. Are you ready for that? Talk is cheap, dude. Hey, I want to be a military sniper. Hey, I want to go be in combat. Talk to those people who've done it. Educate yourself. And that goes for anything you want to do. So this registered nurse thing, this U.S. Air Force pilot thing, talk to people who do it. That's what I did. I mean, my dad was a pilot, but he had retired by the time I was getting really serious and doing my stuff. I had him take me up to Hill Air Force Base one day, and I said, I want to go to the 419th. At the time, they were flying, I think they just transitioned from F-105 Thunder Chiefs, Thuds, to F-16s. So they'd been flying F-16s for a few years, and I went in the squadron. I just walked in. I kid you not. I'm a kid. I'm like 16, and I just walked up to dudes, and I started talking to them. I said, hey, man, you know, this is my name. I'm really interested in flying jets and the Air Force. Talk to me. And I met some really cool dudes up there, and they gave me the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's like, I love this part about it. This part's not so good. I just came back from Korea on a 1-year remote. You know, the plane's fun. The mission's difficult. I'm away from home a lot. My wife never sees me. It is cool. And I educated myself, and that's what you need to do. In any career path you choose, young people, find people who do it and boldly and respectfully go up and get information from them. Ask them for their help. Teach me about this job. RN. If you want to be an RN, go to your local registered or your ER room and talk to them. Say, listen, I would like to shadow the people doing this job because I'm interested in doing the job. I will stay out of the way. I'm professional. I'm responsible. I'll sign whatever waiver you want. I just want to learn. Be a volunteer at the hospital while you do it. You'll learn so much, and you'll get an inside view of what it's like to have that job, and then you can make a better educated guess. Is being an RN right for me? You know, you'll shadow that nurse around. You'll see there's some pretty gross things those RNs have to do to take care of human beings that are sick. changing poo-poo diapers, bedpans, vomit, scraping out wounds, body fluids of all sorts and descriptions. Yeah, it's part of the job. It's part of taking care of human beings. There's a price tag to every job, and you need to take that away from this video. Learn what that price tag is, and then ask if you're good with it. And you won't reveal everything about it. You're going to have surprises along the way. You're like, well, I didn't know the job entailed this. You know, I didn't know I was going to have a supervisor that I couldn't respect. Every job's like that, by the way. That'll happen. And then say to yourself, hey, is this something I can cope with? And if it is, I say rock on. That's when you start kicking in the turbo and you start working. Hey, I've got a game plan. I know I want to be an RN. I know the downsides. I know the upsides. I know the costs. Financially, I know the costs. I've got a game plan to get the money. Start working at it and set goals. Write these goals down. By the end of this month, I will have done the following. By the end of next month, I will have done the following. By the end of this year, I will have achieved this. And work to do it. That's all TNP is. TNP just didn't happen. This video just didn't happen. I envisioned it. I was like, I need to find the right location for this video. Look at, I had to drive 150 miles to get here, but this is the right location. It's awesome. It happens up here first. And after that, you say, how do I make it happen? And then you will find things happening for you. You know, the luckiest people in the world are the ones that work the hardest. You know, I find that the harder I work, the luckier I get. Make sense? So, dear Chatham, in summary, talk to your parents. They sound like they're good. Ask them for financial help. They will be willing to help you. I recommend probably staying out of the military, but not absolutely. It might be right for you. Again, even with a military job, you do have and can gain access to people who do that job. And start talking to them. I guarantee you they will love to talk to you. As a motivated young man, motivated young woman, if someone else, a girl's watching this, I would love it. If you came up to me and said, hey man, how do I be a pilot? I'll be talking to you just like I am now. Upsides, downsides. Mostly good. Mostly good. I wish the best for you, buddy. I wish the best for you. I hope you become a registered nurse, maybe an Air Force pilot, military sniper. That's up to you. I think it's a needed job, man. It is. Someone's got to do it, and they save lives. But it's heavy. It's heavy. Nutnfancy. See you later.